All right, before really getting started here, I want to talk about something sort of personal. For the past couple of years, not so much this year maybe, but more so 2021 and before, I've had this nagging voice in my mind saying that what I do doesn't really have impact. Now, I want to be clear, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the support of a pretty large community that made it all possible, but in between my ranting about microtransactions in video games that inevitably happen regardless of what I say, or talking about how bad a particular TV show is, it felt like I was failing to do anything of consequence. I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to have an impact, and as I began to look for that on a more frequent basis, I ran into something rather unexpected. Lately, I've tackled a couple of very difficult topics. First was underage exploitation on TikTok, and second was a rise in damaging self-harm as a result of Amazon's shopping algorithm. These two videos were very difficult for me to make, because they dealt with subject matter that is just about as far away as one can possibly get from harmless video game commentary, but the perceived impact of these videos was far more important than almost any other content I had previously made. These topics are not easy to explore. I did my best to develop a careful methodology to be diligent, responsible, and ethical in the process, but even with extreme care on a fundamental level, the content was really very draining. I began to feel that previously desired sense of impact or importance, I truly did, while simultaneously thinking about how much easier and more peaceful it would be to just give loose commentary on current events. Having started to achieve what felt like a pressing goal for almost 2 years, I'd say, I began to realize that it came with a cost. Now, I only recently, a matter of days ago actually, changed the name of the channel officially to reflect this new mission. That change will remain, and I stand by it, but I've also realized that I will need to be extremely conscious of what I cover and how, not just for the purpose of treating sensitive topics with proper respect, but also for my own psychological well-being. A good portion of the content I produce now comes from sources. These sources are either whistleblowers inside major companies like Quantic Lab in Romania, concerned citizens trying to expose corruption and fraud like Celsius Network, or even just people who happen to stumble on something they don't fully understand, but a common thread that runs between all of them is that the subject matter is mentally taxing. Workplace abuse, malpractice, fraud, exploitation, these things begin to feel kind of overwhelming, and as a result, I want to be clear on something moving forward. Up till now, I've tried to personally investigate and make videos about whatever it is people send me, if I'm at all able to do that. It's been fantastic, and I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world, but as I go down this road further, I'm starting to realize that it won't always be possible. This particular video comes together based on a variety of factors, but subject matter like this in the future will be something I treat with a great deal more, distance. I will happily connect people with relevant agencies, law enforcement, counseling, or otherwise when appropriate, but I will be taking a step back from the personal aspect of investigating what they send me in some of these situations. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean I'm done with it completely, not by a long shot. It just means that certain stories will need to be treated somewhat differently. High-impact video content is what I desire to make, but I need to make sure and pace myself with adequate time in between more intense topics. All of this is to say, I'm going to be taking a step back and slowing down with this type of material because pushing too hard on this feels like a very, very bad idea. So, what is the topic and why do I need such an enormous disclaimer right at the start? To answer that, we need context on how this happened, how it was sent to me, and what I've done about it as a result. And to give that context, we need to go back to TikTok. About a month ago, I did a video regarding underage exploitative or wildly inappropriate content on TikTok Live, and that video went, semi-viral. In the aftermath, I had dozens, possibly hundreds of parents contact me about what they had done in response to that video. Much of it very positive and heartwarming, but I also received a message from someone named Matthew, who is, in his own words, a task force officer at the FBI. It turns out there is a comprehensive goal at certain levels of law enforcement to raise awareness and get children off of the TikTok platform while prosecuting the worst offenders who engage with them in a supremely negative way. Keep in mind, this video pertained to underage users performing explicit acts on TikTok Live for money from older users. What's more, this effort is being pushed at both a state and federal level, leading to a request by Matthew that I share my findings and methodology for the research. I don't know if I was all that helpful, to be honest, given how I had approached the topic, and seeing as I didn't have any information on money trails, transactions, or many of the actual users involved, but the most important thing for today is that I had established a line of communication with someone specifically involved with protection of minors online. That's pillar number 1, but without pillar number 2, we wouldn't be here today. Pillar number 2 is very straightforward. As a result of the video on TikTok Live, a source reached out to me who felt defeated on a particular subject and wanted to see action be taken. This source saw the video, decided to contact me in the hope I could do something about it, and expressed that they had repeatedly tried to report this material to Google with no results to speak of. Having agreed to look at this, I began to do so, following the links and threads that they had given me, and what I found was a horrifying underbelly of Google Photos or Google Albums that makes me, with as much sincerity as I can possibly muster or convey here, sick to my very soul. Now, before saying precisely what, I want to once again reiterate something from my prior coverage of TikTok. I am not here to disturb anyone. I will make every effort to compose my words in such a way where the critical information and core principles are conveyed with no shocking or disturbing content whatsoever in this video itself. I need to be very conscious of YouTube's community guidelines here, and I will adhere to them. But with that in mind, there is one more thing to clarify. Due to the nature of the subject matter, I believe it is absolutely essential that I detail to you, the audience, all of you, what I have done in response to this topic before actually discussing what it is. To keep things short and simple, I have done the following. I've reached out to a lawyer in order to have some sound advice on how to proceed with anything that follows the publication of this video, submitted an official cyber tip report with all essential information to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, given a detailed report of all relevant material to Matthew at the FBI, who is now moving the information to an ICAC team, ICAC standing for Internet Crimes Against Children, and taken a couple of other secondary steps to make sure that the information is now properly acted upon by someone qualified. Furthermore, I have downloaded nothing and immediately cut recording when encountering something I believe to be illegal, and if I can think of any other necessary precautions to take, I will do so. Including any of the links relevant to this in the description or the visual footage itself would immediately result in a community guideline strike on YouTube, so none will be shown. But understanding that, I want to be completely transparent with not only what this is, how I handled it, and why, but with what I have done on the back end to make sure that this is not just a throwaway YouTube video, but a move to legitimately shut down this ring. With all of that said, and yes, I know it's a lot, here's the story. I believe Google Photos is being used by an enormous ring of criminals to disperse a wide range of assorted illegal material, as well as underage exploitative content. And while my source claims to have reported more of these albums than they can possibly count over an extended period of time, nothing has seemingly ever been done about it. I was given a link to an aggregate website. This website is extremely clear on every single page, I might add, that they do not own the links, they only share them. But that's just the beginning. These links, hundreds and hundreds of them, direct to a website called Linkvertise when you click them. They all are explicit thumbnails and material, but when you click them, they go to Linkvertise, which is a service by which users can earn money based on every single click or visitor to the link that they create. Additionally, Linkvertise bars access to these links either behind a paywall or a series of requirements. For example, one requirement to look at the link for free is to simply browse other articles on the website. This presumably generates money through advertising or paid click-through deals. But another activity is to download specific pieces of software. One example would be a new web browser or some sort of antivirus program, ironically. These downloads often contain malware. Researching Linkvertise will showcase that the website is used in an incredibly large way for illegal activity or dispersing harmful programs. I won't say that the service itself is intended for such uses, but the first link in the chain here is a website trying to make you install malware that your antivirus will likely flag as such. After getting through this initial barrier, there are a multitude of ways to do that, including Chrome or Firefox extensions. You'll find a link that redirects to a Google Photos album. That's the most common, I believe, also corroborated by my source. These albums contain adult material, but some of them appear to contain underage, highly illegal content. This is where the network truly begins because these albums contain a feed of comments or activity. Some of them are thousands of messages long, and littered across these comments are things like this. Conteúdo pesado translates to heavy content, and with the parentheses, we can see that there is a specific emphasis on C and P. Without beating around the bush here, that is coded language signifying that what is in those linked files is underage material. To drive the point home even further, there are sometimes emojis that showcase the no sign over the number 18. One way to interpret this would be that they are saying users under 18 are not allowed here, but another way to see that is an indication that the files contained inside do not depict users above the age of 18. Confirming this, as if it needed to be confirmed given the context at all, these links redirect to a multitude of collections, Google Photo albums, or file sharing platforms, some of which display a message. This comes from file sharing website Mega, reading, quote, This folder or file was reported to contain objectionable content such as child exploitation material, violent extremism, or bestiality. The link creator's account has been closed and their full details, including IP address, have been provided to the authorities." End quote. I am not qualified, equipped, nor interested in exploring this web of content further, but in mere minutes, it became clear that there is a vast network of illegal content here that spans thousands, possibly tens of thousands of users, and contains the following. Adult content posted directly as revenge, likely stolen from a victim's cell phone. Underage content inside albums with titles like "Keep an Open Mind," as well as content taken from leaks, hacks, or data breaches on other websites, with no pretense whatsoever made that this content is anything other than highly illegal. What's more, it seems like every single one of the Google photo albums, of which there are hundreds, I have no idea what the rest contain beyond a few, and also what my source initially gave me. I only pray that the authorities are able to track down everyone involved here. Every single one of the Google photo albums, it seems, has between a few dozen and many hundreds of logged in users, clearly listed at the top, often with their full names right on the account. These albums will, in turn, have hundreds, even thousands of comments directing to further off-platform files hosted inside either Google Albums or websites like Dropbox and Mega, often containing illegal content. It's like standing on the deck of a ship in an ocean of putrid filth, stretching as far as your eyes can see in every direction, and yet the only platform where it seems significant action has been taken at all is Mega. Simply scrolling the activity feed or the comment section on what seems like any of the Google albums will see thousands of links with very clear titles. Conteúdo proibido, or forbidden content. Conteúdo potentes, similar meaning, and once again with parentheticals, CP, leading to websites such as Link Center, with the final portion of the URL simply reading right there, CP, clear as day. The initial aggregate website has everything from Snapchat albums to selfies to content scraped from Reddit and beyond. I cannot stomach it, I cannot investigate further or give any more details. All of this has been reported, as per my source, many times on many albums directly to Google themselves, and seemingly zero action has been taken. Thousands of people are just openly listed in these communities. I'm sure not all of them are objectionable, right? Some of them are going to be consenting adults or what have you, but there are thousands or hundreds of these different albums and many thousands of people involved. The content dates back over 20 years in some of them, according to the direct information at the top. And without sounding overly dramatic here, this appears to be a global network of criminal activity, with half the people involved just openly browsing it, posting, downloading, surfing, or managing albums from their very own Google account. The call to action is simple. Authorities can handle the main response, of course, but it very much seems to me that Google needs to devote more resources to moderating, policing, and banning this kind of network. As I stated earlier, I'll be taking a step back from this kind of topic in the future, giving myself time for things like, Lord of the Rings, or even lighthearted content in between. I believe that this has been handled responsibly. That's my opinion on the matter, but as a series of connections and events lead me to what feel like increasingly serious or dangerous topics every day, I need to be careful and slow down. In the end, this is a disgusting secret inside Google Photos, and I sincerely hope it can be solved. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.